So yeah, Seb, so like, to begin with, basically, just, as a former professional, as somebody who is now so focused on not just identifying talent, but also identifying the business of talent, right? And seeing how, a player can look now, but what they can deliver. What is your overall vision when it comes to like seeing talent, and what are you looking for, I guess, when it comes to identifying talents from all over?
Well, first of all, I think in this case it was helpful that I played in Germany and in England, which were or are physical leagues, and by the time when you look at players, you try to envision how will they look in your own environment, and is there a pathway maybe to Europe if we're looking now from an MLS perspective. So from that point of view, of course, when you look at players, yeah, we look at a certain possibility for a further pathway, not just Chicago way. Also, is he able maybe one day to make it to Europe?
Right. Slonina was a good example, of course. Jhon Duran. So as you know, as I talked to you before, like this is about Jhon and I talked to Perea already, and we talked a lot about like the very beginning, right? The very beginning of him as a child and stuff. But just walk me through like how this all happened, because obviously I've read stuff, but I'd love to hear from you. Just like you were already in Medellin, is that right? How did the story begin?
Look, in the end, I looked a match mainly to look for Carlos Terran. Mm-hmm. But then at a later point during the game, a young boy got subbed in, and right away when he came on, you could see, of course, his physical ability, and then of course, yeah, he had 2-3 1v1s on more on the wing. He came over the wing, and you could see what he was able to do. His jumping, his acceleration. Just the way he was covering the ball, the way he shot, and look over the couple of months later, or the couple of weeks later on, you could see the more you watched about him, the more you could see what that pathway could look like, and that it came that quickly. Nobody from us expected it that fast, to be honest.
So you were there specifically thinking about other prospects, whatever, and this kid just like shocked you. Like it was like, who is this?
Look, in the end, it's often like that. If you watch a game and somebody stands out in that moment, he got my eye right away, and you could see he is special. So in that moment, and that's why we try to get as soon as possible hold of parents, etc., because he was a minor at the time, and see how everything or how fast we can progress. No, but from the first perspective, you could see he's got talent, and he has the ability to make his way.
Yeah. So something that I was talking to Wilbert about is like, and something they focus on, and I feel like you share the same sentiment. Aside from developing the player or identifying the talent, it's also identifying the human being, like the kind of person that they are, and from what we've seen from very little segments in the Premier League, and from what I've seen when I report on MLS, is he looks like somebody who's way beyond his years in terms of maturity or confidence or whatever. What did you see, and what do you see from the Chicago times?
Look, in the end, you could also see the way sometimes he scored goals. It looks so easy, but it takes a high technical quality to score some goals, to have some movements. And John is outstanding in his football knowledge because he sees a lot of things already. That's more intuitive. Of course, there is room to grow for him. Of course, he's a young player, but he needs to take the right steps. And I'm pretty sure if he's able to convert this, and that's why I think now with Emery at Aston Villa, he's having a good opportunity to improve, to learn, to grow, that he will make his way. But everything is step by step. You have to earn it. And but the good thing for John is he already has his physical capacity, his technical ability, and it's quite simple. I can give you a good example to this as well.
Please.
Because over the year that he was when he stayed at Envigado, we tried to prepare him for the MLS. So we hired coaches who looked after him, and you could see the testings that they did. It was always an improvement, and the way how fast he improved by training in a proper manner was incredible. So, and this is a bit the story that you can tell. He was able to adapt quickly, and he tried to get better every day. And this is a credit to the boy, and he made his way out of it.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting, because Wilbert said a similar thing about how the way he consumes information and then translates it onto the pitch. It's one thing to do it, with all due respect at Envigado and the Colombian, but for MLS coaches to come in and trying to, again, progress that information, he consumes it right in. I want to move a little bit. It's connected to Jon Hader, but it's more about your vision as well. How important do you see that market, that South American market, in terms of the relationship between whether it's Colombia, Paraguay, Argentina, and MLS itself?
I think it's a very, very important market. It's like a link market. MLS can also, well, due to the fact that MLS invented the under 20 initiative rule, we were able to take Jhon on board. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible. So from that perspective, that implementation of this rule was absolute key for us to move in that direction. And the fact that MLS trying to improve, to make it happen, to bring in interesting young South American players into the league is a massive benefit. And this is why those leagues become more and more attractive. They are already attractive, especially for the top boys, but also for the younger boys. You are able to bring those players in and develop them. And then you see it now, a lot of players move from MLS also to Europe. Yep. And it's a pathway. It's a nice stepping stone in between. The boys learn English. That's an opportunity for them as well to start with that. And then from that platform, MLS platform, going to Europe, or staying in MLS and living their way in the MLS. It's a perfect example. You have various opportunities. Yeah,
I've always said that, one of the biggest needs for MLS to be successful and continue to grow is to be a transactional league where you're not only purchasing, but you're also a market where Europe's coming in to purchase. And your work is a perfect example. A slight angle from an Aston Villa perspective. How early did the likes of Johan Lange and his team come in when it came to, identifying Jon Hader?
Look, in the end, if you look at the whole journey, that's the right word. Because if you look at the games that John played for us, that was not long.
No,
I mean, he was in Chicago for a year, but in the end, he played within a couple of months, just a couple of games. And in those games, he stood out and he made, in the end, his value. But he left a massive impression. So we had a couple of clubs asking, and Johan Lange, they were also one of the guys who showed a real interest. So from that perspective, they got a fantastic player.
Yeah. So you had some interest from clubs. Was it Premier League, just Europe, basically, or was it all over?
Yeah, I don't want to go into detail.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me the names. Just if it's European, maybe the central market.
Yes, of course. They were a couple of clubs when mentioned in the media. England as well. But in the end,
Villa were the most aggressive.
Being in the end, we're trying to be on the fact and trying to come in for the player for real. That's a different case.
Are you revisiting Colombia anytime soon? Are you South America in general?
Well, there's the under 17 Copa Sudamericana upcoming. we'll have a look there. But in general, we covered the under 20 Sudamericana as well. So we're always trying to be open, walk with open eyes through the markets, and even if it's I don't know, last time Guatemala, but you see a lot of MLS teams walking around. So it's quite common, and you have to be fast. You have to be aware of the talents, even if they're playing in countries where you maybe not expecting the best boys. But to be honest, this is an experience you will find everywhere. Good players.
Yeah, you're always looking. That's good. All right, final question, Seb. I asked this of Wilbert. I'll ask you. What's the ceiling for Jhon Duran, do you think?
The ceiling, I can't tell you because everything depends on John himself. If he keeps his focus on the football, and if he works discipline, he keeps his discipline, I don't see a ceiling for now. It's always very hard. It's always very hard to give a projection for a player's pathway, because there are a lot of things can come in, but he's got so many tools in his locker, so he should be able to reach a high ceiling.